Our next speaker is Amin from my own discipline of history. And Cam's going to talk to you about the, I'll just use the initials, MI, which I think stands for Michigan, AOHP, and Iranian Diaspora Studies. Cam.
Hi. Let's see, I guess I should cue up my slides, eh? Okay, so the Michigan-Iranian American Oral History Project is less about what I have to say and more about what others have to say. So I'm going to begin with a clip.
I did not initially think of the Michigan-Iranian American Oral History Project as a pilot project, but in many ways that's what it's turned out to be. With the funding we received from the Michigan Humanities Council and other sources, we weren't trying to develop a project that would give us an account of a particular event, of a particular moment in history, so much as capturing the broadest possible breadth of experiences of Iranian Americans in Michigan. We did ask everyone what their experience was of coming here and coming to live here, and these clips highlight those responses.
نمیدونم این احساس رو فقط من که بچه نبودم که اومدم، جوانم به سن ایشون که نبودم اومدم، عجیب دلم برای ایران تنگ شده بود. باور کنید آهنگ ایرانی رو میشنیدم به شدت گریه میکردم. تا این حد آرزو داشتم، سالها منتظر بودم بیام، آرزو داشتم رو سرمو بندازم دور و هر کاری دلم خواست بکنم میتونستم این کارو بکنم، ولی این خوشحالم نکرد اصلا. در به در دنبال یه محفل ایرانی بودم، برای که خواهر من شوهرش آمریکاییه و بیشتر با آمریکایی ها در تماسه و خواهرم اومد گفته یک جای اعلامیه دیدم جشن مهرگانه. دیدم اونو تلفن کردم حدود 12 سال نیم پیش تلفن کردم و اونا رو پیدا کردم. اولین کسی که باش در تماس بودم روانشاد فرخ بود و ایشون اومد دنبالم گفت این شب ایران رو تو باید بیا.
In just 1 minute, we can learn so much about our present historical moment and the experiences of Iranian Americans. But the strength of this evolving collection is that it is not focused on one generation or one set of experiences. The next clip is a window on the 1950s.
We had agreed to go to a movie at 4 o'clock or something, so he came to my house and we came out, and then he said, I have to talk to my advisor, the Iran-America Society, before we go. So we ended up there. And he went to see his advisor, and I was sitting in just the entrance place, and there were 2 secretaries there. At least I assume they were secretaries. So after a while, they told me, these ladies, one of them told me, what is your business here? I said, no, I'm just waiting for my friend. I don't have any business. And right at that time, this friend walked out of his advisor's office, and once he heard the discussion, he said, you know, this guy is the second ranked student in all of Tehran. And then these ladies became kind of interested, and so on. And they told me once, they told me if I fill out an application, they may be able to get a scholarship for me.
So what does this have to do with the young field of Iranian diaspora studies? Well, this project is our unique contribution to that field, actually. The new Center for Iranian Diaspora Studies opened up at San Francisco State University just in 2017, and they had their inaugural conference, and we were able to present our results there. I sometimes joke that I've been working on the Iranians of flyover country because most of the studies focus on other parts of the diaspora, particularly in the US. And you're welcome for that. But here, what I want to say is that the contribution to that field on its own terms, the project has given me and my students and other colleagues spin-off projects. And I'm going to talk about some of those in just a second. And it's become less about what I do on my own and more about ideas I'm working on with others. Let me share this one project that I did with, you'll see it scrolling by. This is done by DEANNA BURROWS. And we decided to experiment with using story maps to map out where people have been, to kind of capture the role that we were seeing in all the interviews of agency and expressed in terms of mobility, where they could go, where they couldn't go, where they could stay. And so we did a little experiment with that. But as we looked at the collection as a whole, we were trying to make it more accessible, more discoverable. And so following on that, Jorge Gonzalez del Pozo and I got how are you doing? A grant to work on something called the Oral History Metadata Synchronizer. That is a tool to sync up video with transcripts, but has a bilingual dimension to it. And so we got interested in that. And we're working with some colleagues in Ann Arbor. And when I figured out how to use the OHMS tool, I sent this little short demo to my colleagues talking about all the things I could do with it. You can make it so that a person can go right to the part of the transcript they want to find information on. Most people don't want to listen to an entire oral history. I mean, that 1 minute, if I told you you had to listen to 10 minutes of an oral history, you'd say, all right, stop already. You want to go to the 1 minute, and this helps you do that. It helps you search for things. It syncs the transcript. You can add other kinds of information. It's a great way to make the collection more discoverable. And the other thing that this project has led to is things that are not related to oral history per se, but grew out of the oral history interviews. The folks that I interviewed, many of them were involved with something called the Persia House of Michigan, and that had a newsletter which was bilingual. And in that newsletter, there's about, I would say 15 to 20 years of local history. So I'm working on a project now funded through ORSP. I guess they're called Campus Research Office now. Is it the Research Director's Office? They've changed the name of ORSP. They've given us funding to create a search engine that will be bilingual. So you can search in Persian, search in transliterated Persian, search in English, and go through this whole thing. And it's chock full of all kinds of information. You can see all the students and colleagues across the university that we're working on around that. So in closing, I also have my own questions about the interviews that I hope to write about one day. But one of the things I realize is if I have 20 professional lifetimes, I will not be able to do all the work that ought to be done on these interviews. I won't be able to collect all the interviews that ought to be collected. So join me, and we'll make the Michigan-Iranian American Oral History Project great, always. Thank you. That's all I got.